Hi, it's Jessica Abel. I just wanted to give you a quick tour behind the scenes of the Creative Focus Workshop so you can get a real concrete sense of what it would be like if you were to join. Doki is the platform where I host the materials for the Creative Focus Workshop, and it is one of the places you will be spending a lot of time if you decide to join. So I wanted to take you inside, give you a look around. When you log in, you will see your name up here. I've registered myself for two different cohorts here because I want to show you different things, but you'll probably just see the one panel here. And so if you click into that, when you click through, you'll see all the modules laid out here. And the first thing I want to point out to you is that a bunch of them have lock icons on them and you can't get into them. They tell you no. Now, I'm not trying to be mean. The reason for that is that in creating the Creative Focus Workshop program, I'm trying to create something online that is as close as possible to a live, college level seminar class with, personal interaction and, a cohort of fellow students who you can work things through with. And so what happens is I open these locks on a very specific schedule. And so all of these things will eventually unlock. What you can get into immediately is into the orientation. And so when we click into that, you'll start to see the overall look and feel of the course. And so what you have to do in order to move into things is you have to get started. Here's my goofy face. This is a welcome piece, and then you mark as complete and you move through it. And you could click next lesson here. So we have a platforms walkthrough, pretty much what we're doing here. And there's also checklists inside, which help you keep track of what you're doing. You can also reset and start over. It's not like it's graded or something, but this is a way for you to say like, okay, I did read it, but I haven't actually marked as complete or clicked next lesson. And therefore, I don't need to click those things off. So mark as complete and next lesson. And you'll see as you go, they get checked off up here. And they also change from being gray to being black, and so that you can tell which things you have access to. And so now I could go back into number 1, I can go into number 2, I can go into number 3 up on the orientation, on the navigation rather. So this is the syllabus where everything's laid out there. And in the syllabus, you'll note that there's a downloadable resource. That's the other thing that you find in here. So when there's a handout, when there's a worksheet of some kind, it's going to be there under resources. And again, mark me as complete, mark as complete, and next lesson. So after you click through the orientation, you'll get to the first lesson module, which is the Creative 360 Today time tracking. And this module is actually open when you join the Creative Focus Workshop so that you can get right into it and get started, even if you need to wait a few days for the official launch of the program. What you'll see is a module homepage where you have the map. You can see that the time tracking icon is now bright blue and red, telling you that this is where you've gotten to. And then you click through to the lesson. In this case, there's only one lesson inside the module. In some cases, there are a bunch, and I'll show you that in a minute. But in this case, you see what is typical for a lesson, which is to have an audio file at the top. And then you have a kind of essay portion. And the essay and the audio are parallel. It's the same material. So it depends on how you like to listen, how you like to learn, what suits you. And if you click on it, you can hear my voice.
Your time tracking and calendar meta homework.
Okay, so that's in every lesson. And at the bottom, we have the checklist and we have resources. And here we have the time tracking calendar and the digital time tracking calendar. Until you notice there is no next lesson here. There's no next module to click into. And that's because everything else is still locked. Starting on Monday of the course, you will see the next module, resources, and also Creative 360 yesterday, idea, debt, and creative conditions. Those will unlock on that first day. There is a calendar of all these things, which you get added to. It's a Google Calendar. It shows up on your own calendar, and it will keep you on track. And you also have your syllabus to keep you aware of everything. Now I'm going to go into the other cohort that I have signed up so that I can actually show you the insides of the rest of the modules. Okay, here I'm actually inside the alumni cohort, which I've added all former students to so that they have access on an ongoing basis to all the updates that happen with the Creative Focus Workshop. And you can see inside here, all of the modules are actually open. And so you can click into any of them you want. This is what the course will look like for you once you finish it, although there'll be check marks next to everything, which is very satisfying. So let's just go through all the different modules. So first of all, you have resources, and inside resources, you have a lesson on accountability teams. So this explains how to set up and use accountability teams. Now, remember, inside the Creative Focus Workshop, you have an accountability team that I set up for you. And in many cases, you can work with all of those people or some of those people on an ongoing basis and retain that accountability for as long as you want to maintain it. But you may want to do it again in the future. And so this is sort of a roundup of how to handle that. In this lesson here, you've got the skills tree. This is something we put together pretty recently that is, I think, super fun. We're thinking through what are the core competencies that you learn in order to really get a hold of your creative practice. And I kind of came up with these like buckets that they fit into: the logistician, the navigator, and the captain. This explains how all that works. And essentially, as you go through the different lessons, you could literally print this out and you can check them off and earn your badge. Unfortunately, I don't have actual badges yet, maybe one day, but that hasn't happened yet. Weekly review explains how to do the weekly review, where to find the weekly reviews, and we'll keep you on track there. You can always come back to this lesson if you forget where they are. That happens. The workbook is not a literal paper workbook. It is a PDF, but it has all of the worksheets in one place. So if you want to just go deal with printing on one day, just go and to Staples and have them make a book for you or whatever, that's possible. You can do that here. And then there's also each individual worksheet. If you want to find something specific and reprint it, you can find it there. Now, all of these worksheets are actually also linked in all the lessons. I'm trying to duplicate things as much as possible so that you never have to be lost. You never have to look someplace weird for this stuff. All right, so we already looked at time tracking. The purpose of time tracking is to get you really thinking about what literally makes up your days, because if you don't know what's there, you can't make different decisions about it. So that's the first thing. It's sort of like the underpinning for everything else is knowing what's there, what the material is. Then we go into the Creative 360 yesterday, idea, debt, and creative conditions. And this is where you kind of go backwards and you think, what are the things I'm carrying with me? What are the ways I've worked best in the past? What are things that have affected me negatively? What are all the ideas that I'm holding on to, that some of them are things that I absolutely want to do? Some of them are things that I don't know if I want to do, but I have to decide. And you kind of gather all those things up. Then you move into Creative 360 yesterday, open loops. So there's 3 parts of yesterday. There's idea, debt, creative conditions, and open loops. And open loops is where you go around, you gather all of the commitments you've made, pieces of paper lying around, and you figure out what's in them and what have you promised yourself you're going to do. Move on to Creative 360 tomorrow. You have the vision quest and one goal. And this is where you really start thinking about, what do you want with your life? Where do you want to go? And then what is the right project to put you on the path to get there? Sometimes we get attached to projects that actually are pointing us in the wrong direction, and it's really important to turn that around and get pointed in the right direction. Finally, we get into the more tactical pieces of the Creative Focus Workshop, where we learn skills to manage all this stuff. So you've been gathering all of this material, all of this knowledge about who you are and what you have in your life and what do you want, but it can feel really overwhelming. And so starting with building the project path, you learn tools and also kind of big thinking tools to really break down large projects and make them doable, to manage all the data, all the stuff that you're dealing with. And you can see there's a whole bunch of sub lessons within here. Go into aligned week. This is where you think about, like, how are you actually going to use your time in a given week? This is why you need time tracking, because you've been looking at how your time is going and what are you using it for. And here you can really make different decisions, and you can cordon off time for your creative work that's sacrosanct, that really you can protect it, you can feel proud of it, and you're much more likely to actually do the thing. But you may face the should monster. So this is where we really get into the imposter syndrome piece and the inner critic and all of those kinds of negative voices that kind of try to keep you down. Really, really important, deep work that we do here. But I've actually come up with the collaboration of students and former cohort, a way to turn this around and make it not just sort of feeling the feels, but actually doing something very positive and very concrete to kind of grapple with the issues that come up around the should monster. Then we put it in some kind of a system. So one of the things I figured out that I did not understand at all when we started is that everybody's got a system. Everybody does something with their stuff, with their notes, with their ideas, even if it's just repeating it to themselves. But usually it has to do with there's post-it notes different places, or you're putting reminders, or you're doing something like that, and that is something to build on and not something to distrust. Like if you are already using something, what you need to find out is what works about that thing and what doesn't work about that thing, and get rid of the doesn't work part and build on the does work part. And that's what we try to do in this module. So then we get into review. The key is the trust. Now, review is a crucial piece of your creative focus system where you consolidate your gains. Because if you don't pay attention to what worked and what didn't work and what choices you made, you just are not able to make better choices in the future. And you also are not able to remember what it is that you did. And so I've built in review throughout the course. Every single week, there's a weekly review. But then we come to the final module here, and I really talk about what is the point of review writ large. Why do we do this? What's it for? And I feel like this is a super important piece of the overall picture that often gets missed. It's not just about having tactics. It's not just about having kind of a really great app to take care of your lists. You also have to think about like, well, how's this functioning in my life? How can I make this better? What are the things I want to get rid of? And incorporate that moving forward. So the other thing I wanted to show you the inside of is Slack. Slack is our community. And so if Doki is where the sort of course piece of the Creative Focus Workshop is hosted, Slack is where the cohort really lives. And it's really the heart of the Creative Focus Workshop in some ways. So inside Slack, you have your accountability teams. You have channels for each of the modules, fuzzed out because I'm protecting the privacy of people who were in a previous cohort. But essentially, probably through the fuzz, you can see that people post and they get lots of replies, which you can pop out in a thread here. Those are threaded replies, and lots of emoji responses as well. People I find are very willing to be honest, and they're incredibly perceptive and supportive of other people. And I just can't tell you how much I love being in here. You can see actually on my sidebar here, I still have current 3 different cohorts. And this is my Slack with my assistant, Lou. And these 3 different cohorts are still up here, and I check in with them regularly because I love to check in with them and see what's going on. It's really great to touch base with these amazing artists and creative people who come in. So the final piece of the puzzle is the group coaching meetings, which for the Creative Focus Workshop Foundation happen in Crowdcast. Now, if you've been to any of my free workshops, they also happen in Crowdcast, so this interface is going to be very familiar to you. And of course, it offers this big window here where my face is usually there and not down below where I am now. And there is the Ask a Question panel here if you can't attend live, if you want to preload questions. I can bring people up on video and have conversations with them. And of course, there's the really active chat feature here. And this is a replay of the Jumpstart from March of 2018. And, the replays sit here essentially forever. And so if you ever want to come back and review what we talked about and sort of get into it again, this is here. And all you have to do is, hey, everybody, welcome. I'm really glad to see a bunch of you guys here already. So actually the final piece of this puzzle is Zoom, which is where in the Momentum system, we have our group coaching meetings every week that the Creative Focus Workshop Foundation doesn't meet on Crowdcast. So there are 8 additional group coaching meetings in the Momentum system. And essentially we meet in this kind of video room where everybody's face is up on the screen at the same time, kind of Brady Bunch style. And we all talk about issues that have come up in the week. I offer challenges or very specific things to think about or sort of subject matter. And it's just a very, very vibrant, active format for breaking down what's going on in our lives and trying to do better, which is what we're all trying to do. But these meetings really are just the heart and soul of the Momentum system. I hope this look inside the Creative Focus Workshop has answered all your questions about methodology, how we do what we do, what's included, what it looks like. But if you do have any further questions, please do email me. I would be happy to answer any questions at all. And I hope you'll consider joining the Creative Focus Workshop. I would love to welcome you into the next cohort.